In a previous video, I went over all the modes, how to write them, how to recognize them. And in this video, I'll talk about good chord progressions to use for each of the modes. Now, I suggest that you go back and watch that first video if you haven't already. I'll provide a link for you, and then come back and watch this video. Now, the material that I'll present here is actually laid out pretty clearly in the book called 20th Century Harmony by Vincent Persichetti. And I highly recommend that that book be essential reading on your music theory bookshelf. Let's take a look. We will start by writing all the triads in the key of C major and label them with chord symbols as well as Roman numerals. The uppercase Roman numerals indicate major triads. The lowercase indicate minor triads. And the little circle next to the Roman numeral indicates diminished. You can build this chord chart up to 7th or even 9th chords if you want. But to keep it simple, we'll stick with triads for now. Moving to the Dorian mode, we write the same notes as the C major scale, but we start and end on the pitch D. Dorian is the second mode of C major. Then let's take a moment to compare D Dorian with D minor. Notice that one note is different. The 6th note is raised a half step in Dorian. We will call this altered pitch the essential color tone in Dorian, since it will register pretty strongly in our ears as a tone altered from minor. Next, write out and label all the triads in D Dorian, and take special note of the triads that contain this essential color tone of B, the raised 6th. To identify the primary triads, always include the 1 chord, and then include the chords with the essential color tone, 2, 4, and 6. Actually, let's eliminate any diminished triad, the 6th chord in this mode, since diminished chords are rather unstable. And there you have it, the primary triads 1, 2, 4, the most useful triads in Dorian. Of course, you could use any of the chords in a composition or an improvisation. It's just that you will create really good emphasis on the particular color of Dorian if you gravitate to these particular primary triads. Let's move on to the Phrygian mode. We write the same notes as C major, but now we start and end on the E pitch, since E Phrygian is the 3rd mode of C major. Comparing E Phrygian with E minor, notice that one note is different. The 2nd note is lowered a half step in Phrygian. This lowered 2nd note is the essential color tone in Phrygian. Next, write out and label all the triads in E Phrygian and take note of the triads that contain this essential color tone, the F, the lowered 2nd. To identify the primary triads, include the 1 chord and all the chords that contain F, the 2, the 5, and the 7. But like before, we'll eliminate the diminished chord. And now we see that we have the primary triads in E Phrygian, or any Phrygian, the 1, the 2, and the 7. For Lydian, the fourth mode, we write the pitches of the C major scale but from F to F. It's very close to the F major scale, but with the fourth pitch, B flat, raised 1/2 step to B. So this is the essential color tone. Write out all the triads in F Lydian. Circle the 1 chord as well as all the triads with the color tone, B. That's the 2, 4, and 7 chords. Eliminate the diminished triad, and our primary chords are 1, 2, and 7. G Mixolydian, the fifth mode of C major. Compared to a G major scale, the seventh note is lowered by a 1/2 step. Write out the G Mixolydian triads and circle the 1 chord, as well as the 3, 5, and 7. Cross out the diminished triad. The primary triads are 1, 5, 7. Aolon is essentially an A minor scale. But remember that in a minor key, we often raise the leading tone, here G to G sharp, making an A harmonic minor scale, to strengthen the tonal implications of the chords. To sound more modal, we will not raise the leading tone. So take note of all the triads with the unraised leading tone, the G natural. And these, along with the 1 chord, can be our primary triads. 1, 3, 5, 7. The last mode, Friian, is very useful to the improviser, but not so useful for composing music. It has a very distinctive tritone interval between the first and fifth pitches of the mode, and as such does not really lend itself to stable treatment in composing modal music. Remember, all the modes discussed here can be transposed to any pitch level, and you should try to become fluent with the modes and their primary chords at all pitch levels. For example, you might want to use a G Phrygian mode. Remember, Phrygian is the same as minor, but with a lowered second scale degree. So we write a G minor scale and lower the A to A flat. The primary chords are, as we discussed before, 1, 2, 7. G minor, A flat major, and F minor.